Neal Isaacs, the Raleigh business broker, giving you all the goods today. We do a lot of valuation work here at my firm. I'm a business broker, practicing intermediary. I produce content for business owners, business buyers, and the advisors who serve them. And value is the number one question that we get all the time. How much is it worth? How much is it worth? And we do valuations. We do different levels of valuations, from back of the napkin type valuations to full blown outsourced calculations of value. But what I want to give you today, if you're snooping around the internet, just looking for kind of a back of the napkin rule of thumb, I want to tell you how to evaluate a company very, very quickly. It's free, so it's what it's worth, and I will build in some margins of error, right? So hire an intermediary to do a full valuation. But I'm going to give you two rubrics, super easy, so that very quickly you can determine if it's insane what you're looking at. If you're an owner and you're pricing it yourself, or if you're a buyer looking to buy something, or if you're an advisor and somebody came to you and says, "Does this sound crazy?" So here they are, my Neal's two rubrics. I will give anybody this over the phone in an initial conversation, so I figured let me just put it on the web. The first rubric is simply most businesses. I'm going to say 90+% of small businesses. So we're not talking mergers and acquisitions. We're talking about small business under $2 million in enterprise value. Most small businesses will sell for between 30 and 50% of annual sales. 30 to 50% of annual sales. So if you do $1 million in revenues, $300,000 to $500,000, there's a high probability the company will fall in that range. That's rubric number one. And again, I left a margin there, right? It could be higher than that, lower than that, or somewhere in the middle. But most buyers don't really care that much about top line revenue, because I've met so many business owners that are putting up big numbers and they're spending all of it. They're spending all of it, right? So I do 5 million a year. That's great. I spend 6 million a year. Do you want to buy my company? No, no, not at all. But what buyers really care about is our second rubric, and that is cash flow, right? Now, most owners do know what their annual revenues are. They may not know what their weighted average revenues of the past several years are, and that's something that we help them with. That's pretty easy to calculate. But cash flow is a little bit more complicated, and that's what we really focus on with our initial consultations to see if it's a marketable business as a going concern. So cash flow is my second metric. And here it is. Most businesses will trade for 1 to 3 times their cash flow. 1 to 3 times their cash flow. Again, that's a big range I'm giving you, but let's see how that plays out. That same owner, maybe they're doing $1 million in revenue. Maybe after they pay themselves, after they take the profits of the company, and we have some add backs for non-cash expenses. See, this is where cash flow gets complicated: amortization, depreciation. Maybe we can establish that a business's true economic benefit to the owner, which is the cash flow, is $200,000. $1 million comes in, it's worth $200,000 to that owner. Halfway between 1 and 3 is, well, 1.5. I'm sorry, 2.5. 2.5 times that $200,000, we're right back at $500,000, which is 50% of revenue. You see how that works? So the second one, the second rubric, that 1 to 3 times cash flow, that's what really matters. But you can govern this whole process a little bit by that first rubric, which is, what are the top line sales and what's the percentage of that? And that's important because sometimes we find businesses that are like way too profitable, and there's reasons why. Maybe they're not spending the measurements needed on payroll, or maybe there's something going on with the accounting. And so we can govern that a little bit by the first rubric. And likewise, sometimes we have these big companies and they're throwing off tons of revenue and there's huge opportunity. They're not managed well, but somebody may pay more than their current cash flow because there is an opportunity. So it's somewhere between those. Well, that's the work that we do when we go deeper on these valuations. But there you have it. 2 rubrics, 30 to 50% of annual revenues or 1 to 3 times annual cash flow. Again, both of those, we're looking at a weighted average. There's a lot that goes into it, but I hope that helps. Things that move those up and down are the types of industry, whether it's recurring revenue, how clean the books are, the factors around the team. There are many, many factors. And that's where we go deeper. And this is very quantitative. There's a whole qualitative piece that we add to that as well. What's the value of the brand? How long has it been around? So those are the deeper conversations that we have with clients. But I hope those rubrics were helpful to you. If you want to talk about valuation, if you're looking at a deal and you want to know if it's crazy or not, call me. I'm Neal Isaacs. I'm the Raleigh business broker. I love to talk about deals. My number is 919-628-0571. And you can reach me on LinkedIn, and I love to talk about deals. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. And until next time, mahalo.